My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. It's 5:54 a.m. This is for the serial stalker, the African-American male that is stalking at the Ontario Civic Center. And now he's just doing so conspicuously. The people of the state are maintaining criminal presence. They are residing in relevant position. They're in their apartment homes. They're on the roads and the highways. They are gang stalking at the forgettable law school, if that's not a real law school, but College of Laverne. And this one is a third party that's conspicuously stalking. He is going to prison. The entity is engaging in, that's the third plane. This is the mentally ill behavior. They're stalking. The demons, who are the U.S. military, engaging in surveillance, are doing so pursuant to an entity that's up at 5 a.m, stalking and monitoring while stalking. Okay, so this is exceeding stalking. And this demon, the people of the state, this homeless dust ball, is gang stalking with that military that's engaging in this mentally ill behavior. This is the third plane. They're engaging in cartwheels over the senior center, and I'm documenting on an ongoing basis while this behavior follows me wherever I go. This is the entity that is engaging in that. He's going to federal prison. He's engaged in this on July 2nd, 2026. It's currently 5:55 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, that is plane number 10. Starting as of, and by starting I mean I'm doing so as an ongoing series of planes. This is the entity's conduct upon my waking up, moving around. So this is the psychopathic conduct of monitoring. Okay, because they're already stalking. They're monitoring when I'm asleep, when I'm not even moving. They engage in the psychopathic behavior of plane after plane after plane after plane after plane. The maniacal pattern as I'm moving around, and also as they're triggered by my documentation. That's psychotic. The more that I expose the demons that are stalking and monitoring, the more that they engage in the monitoring. And they do so with things such as helicopters and commercial planes. These are the demons that are going to be committed. And it is the military that is a threat to national security. And they're a threat actually globally, because the U.S. military is engaging in this terrorism against people around the world that have no idea what they're up against, have no idea how deranged, how psychotic the serial killers, the sex offenders, the predators that they are. The entities engage in this with Metro 102 Apartments, Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue, the Ontario Town Square, which is the city of Ontario, Sarah's Regis Group. This is literally the evidence to prosecute each of these companies. The College of Laverne University of Law, the Ontario City Hall, the Ontario Town Square Townhomes. That's flight number 11, by the way. Ontario Town Square Townhomes. The people of the state at 218 C Street, that old white fat lady that's engaged. She's not a lady, she's a demon, but she's a female engaging in threatening to summon the gang stalkers that I'm showing you stalking day and night, and they're stalking right now with the military that are stalking my planes. Where the military is stalking me, the Ontario police are stalking me. And she is stalking at 218 C Street, stalking in the path with her foot on the brake, which is in alignment to me, while the African-American male is stalking in the path in alignment to me, sitting on the bench. They are surrounding and doing so. Psychopathic pacing by traffic, psychopathic pacing by traffic right here at the C Street turn circle, psychopathic pacing by the people of the state that are on foot. I took pictures of them gang stalking. The African-American female, the elderly female. These demons, for example, related companies, which may or may not be actually Jon Stewart. They represent Jon Stewart, but there is information speaking to the fact that this is related companies, that is management. But nonetheless, it's clear what apartment complex, what property I'm referring to, because they are being prosecuted. The entities in violation of HUD housing rules, they're also being prosecuted under that. They're losing housing benefits, and they will not be getting any government support. So this old biddy that likes to gang stalk me walking her dog, she does so through the neighborhood, she does so at the town square. She does so as a actor within the community, because all of the old people that reside at 280 North Lemon Apartments are engaging in the pattern of conduct right now while you're listening to the military hover over that apartment complex. All right, this is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging what is stalking me by following me through the city of Ontario into the city of Upland as well, which is the state engaging it, and that's why Upland is engaging in that same P.O.C. And that's also why Upland did not have the fake sun over me in Upland. It remained over me in Ontario, where the city of Ontario is being prosecuted. All right, these are demons that are mentally ill, that are engaging in what is massive surveillance, as I'm showing you how the surveillance system works, and which is how demons are engaging in infringement. And you're also aware that they're demons, that they're thieves, that they're copycats, meaning they're monitoring spirits that use what is this criminal system, which is also satanic, to literally engage in what is the creation of movies, TV shows, products, services that are not originating from them, their minds. It's not their creation. And this is what an entity that's been engaged in monitoring me for my entire life has engaged in. Keeping me under surveillance, stealing ideas that came from me, and also creating things like movies. The Truman Show, all they did was put in a white man, and it's really about a black woman, myself, in California. And they are engaging in the Truman Show regarding a true system that has been created for entertainment purposes, but there's nothing entertaining about it. It's only entertaining, rather, to those that people like Jason Fields and Tracy Banks summon to watch someone being sacrificed. Those are demons. It's entertaining to psychopaths like them that engage in and conduct sex rituals while they watch you being gang stalked on the internet. But it's not actually entertaining, and it's based on what these actors, what these producers, these movie directors, what the people of the state are actually engaged in, and it is not entertainment whatsoever. That's what's behind the entity monitoring me now, massive surveillance. This is the P.O.C. You're listening to Mental Illness. That's flight number 13. All All right, this has nothing to do with the operation of the airport, and the commercial airline industry is being federally prosecuted. All right, that's the pattern of conduct. It is currently 6:17 a.m. The entity is without any defense in court. So this is an entity that has already conceded that as well. The entity is stalking, as I documented last night, by helicopter, while Omnitrans is gang stalking and monitoring my vagina pursuant to the same pattern of conduct in the bathroom at the senior center. And I document that African-American male. I take an up-close image of his face to report this sex offender to the world, and it's also for purposes of prosecuting Omnitrans and prosecuting the entirety of that entity. That's a great, tremendous, and horrendous sex offender, keeping my vagina under surveillance inside of the senior center where the military is stalking and hovering over these venues right now that are going to be prosecuted. The Ontario Senior Center is a reference to the city of Ontario. This is an entity that engages in this same conduct by helicopter, and that's exactly what Omnitrans committed last night as I am reporting them, in concert with Securitas, who is gang stalking as well. And Securitas Leo is gang stalking. I captured this in images. There are no defenses legally relevant. There's no constitutional defense whatsoever, and this is a prosecution that this entity has already conceded to. So you're talking about what is tremendous poverty, that this, as a matter of justice, they should be impoverished. Your company should be destroyed. You should be homeless after I'm done. You should be in prison and deported back to whatever poor country that you came from and barred from coming back. You should lose your position in government and your ability to further seek employment, because nobody's going to hire you as a terrorist. But the entities engaging in this conduct together, while the pattern of conduct, you'll see the same demon that I already documented. Now she's running. She's crossing paths still. And Robert is gang stalking Page One Cafe, which is also the city of Ontario, the convention center. The entity is engaging in this conduct, and there is actually no defense. This is an entity that has been caught engaging in that which was never intended to be exposed, and you're seeing their mental illness. While they are exposed, they just engage in this ongoing gratuitous engagement. It's almost like, you caught me, ass, so what, whatever, I'm going to keep doing it. Those are psychopaths and serial killers. Okay, so you're talking about thousands and thousands of people that this entity has murdered over the centuries. And this is an entity whose system is no longer secret. And moreover, the Nephilim, that's what they are. These are the demon possessed. They are not secretly amongst us. No more at all. They are fully exposed, and that's speaking to the national security threat and the how unsafe it is to disregard the spiritual realm. And by the spiritual realm, not just anything spiritual. Witches are spiritual. Okay, you're talking about ignoring the reality of your need for Christ Jesus, ignoring the wisdom that is, and knowing that the enemy is real. Satan, who is a spirit who possesses people, who is deducible through the environment, who is identifiable through behavior, that is also criminal, but it's demon possession, and it's serving a criminal surveillance system, and it is what has made up an entire government system. These are all demons that are having access to commercial planes. So you have what are multi-million-dollar companies that are sacrificing those companies because of obsession with me. And they literally bet those companies, they bet their lives on it, and it was a false bet. All right. This is an entity that's going to compensate in ways in which federal law has never contemplated before. And that's based on you cannot calculate the damages regarding you making movies and TV shows and forming characters and literally telling my life story, never including me in it, threatening my life and violating my privacy in unprecedented manners in doing so, and also seeking to keep me as a prisoner, gang stalking me once I become aware of it and enforce my rights. That's what these movie producers, that's what these actors and actresses, that's what these celebrities, that's what these politicians, that's what the population has engaged in, obsession with me, because of their own personal inability to be, okay? Because they are the wicked, because they are purposeless, because they don't have an original creative thought. This is an entity that is engaging in entrapping those that are greater than them, and that's the reality. And that is a monster, and it's a society of monsters, and those monsters are going to compensate under laws that exist and laws that shall come into existence. Pay attention to the background. You're literally counting the planes because the entity is producing this information. The Ontario International Airport, the airline companies, the very demons operating the aircrafts. All of this is a matter of production regarding discovery, regarding an actual prosecution, while the demons who are the military are stalking in these planes. And what the
actors such as the Ontario Police Department are doing, which is stalking, while the entity is engaged in the surveillance. All this, no facet of this conduct is remaining a mystery. And it's not a mystery because I'm breaking it down, but you're going to get down to the details regarding what's the name of the sex offender that is behind the wheel of the plane, every plane that was flown, every moment of takeoff, and how they engaged in flying in circles over and over again and flying multiple planes. That level of detail is what is going to be exposed. And they are going to be committed and they're going to prison. Okay, and demons such as those at the senior housing community, they will be, justice is served because the old people will not be receiving any housing benefits. And so if you cannot pay your rent, well, then you'll be outside like you had the targeted individual outside where you thought to entrap them, where you can keep them under surveillance and their genitalia under surveillance. And that was a form of entertaining yourselves. It is justice while a population like that is homeless. There will be no government system. No terrorist is going to be supported by the federal government, state or local, and the city of Ontario is not even in a position. This is being defunded. They won't be providing housing. They're going to be searching for housing. There will be no housing provision by any gang stalking municipalities such as the city of Ontario. The laws are totally changing, and that is comprehensively with regard to the proven fact of surveillance by the state and, well, it's surveillance by the U.S. government, and it is executed by state and local government, as I've shown you how that system operates. That is changing the entire fabric of the system. It's changing the landscape. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:23 a.m. This is an entity that is very much engaged in stalking and is stalking as I go from place to place. I am capturing images of the African-American male. He's gang stalking at the fake churches. The fake churches are hereby being documented. That's harassment and terrorism, while a whole bunch of sex offenders that are gang stalking me are sitting around the table in the venues at the laundromat while they're gang stalking, just like I documented yesterday. While I am on walking from place to place, they're gang stalking with the military that's following me around, and they're following me around under the fake sun, stalking. Nowhere to live, have not taken a bath, have not washed out their mouth, okay, walking around with dirt all over them, smelling of feces and urine, and stalking and monitoring me. Okay, and then you have Securitas, who should be minding their business, should be maintaining a company, and they're not. They're gang stalking, just like the demons I've shown you. Leo, Dylan, Diana from 2020. These demons that engage in kidnapping, criminal summoning with the Ontario Police, that was with the same entity. They're all going to prison. Every single last one of them. While the entities engage in what is psychopathic pacing, which is what Securitas is doing with Robert of Page One Cafe and the Latina female who are working at that's the Ovid Family Community Library. So they're engaging in that pattern of conduct while the entity's flying in 15, 16 planes that you hear. They're engaging in the elements of monitoring. Surveillance coexists with everything that they're doing, which is speaking to they're engaging in surveillance. It is public corruption, period. This is the P.O.C. It is currently, and these are the casualties when an entity is mentally ill and when an entity is accustomed to being corrupt and getting away with it. And I guess being so corrupt that no one, like you're that delusional that you're going to persist and continue in it. And in the face of this evidence, just delusional conduct, in the face of the evidence, you're just going to, I guess, get away with it while you're clearly stalking and harassing somebody in things like helicopters and planes. And the airport is shown to be engaged in that conspiracy. And you have all manner of evidence proving it, not just hearsay, not just somebody that can't make sense of what they think is happening, but literally breaking it down in an investigation that they conduct themselves, which is entirely competent. This is an entity that has been drunk with power that they've been abusing. And long ago, this ended, and they continued in the face of that open indication that this is not like it has been before. And this is also why they are going to be, they being an entity that's being prosecuted, and an entity that's going to be subject to what is literally built into the prosecution. You're talking about with each case that the entity is facing, because you're talking about individuals that make up an entity. When this entity is federally prosecuted, being committed is built into their prosecution. And this is what a part of their psychopathic and delusional pattern of conduct. This is an entity that was prosecuted years ago, and the fact that I'm still documenting and subject to it in 2026 is your ability to understand why Jason Fields, who has been having sex with these people and making money off of targeting me, and doing so with people, everyone that I know. This demon is he's a nymphomaniac whose addictions were fed by demons, and he profited from it. And nobody cares about you having a change of feelings. This is why he's never coming around me. You tell whatever you want to tell. You claim you're conducting whatever investigation. It's of no consequence. This is someone, and none of these demons are going anywhere that I'm going. They're not permitted. And where you are, that's called stalking. And you will be federally prosecuted. But this is an entity that has been delusional regarding the cessation of this system. Okay, it is what the Lord God has said shall come to an end, and it is over. And while they're engaging it, and you hear about 20 planes in the background stalking, and you're looking at a population just engaged, a whole bunch of demons just going around stalking because they're blind with obsession with me, and I'm identifying them, I document, they're going to be committed. They're being federally prosecuted, and they're being committed, and in a society is being prosecuted. All right, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:27 a.m. and all of the properties that I'm speaking to are in relevant position. But Stater Brothers is in relevant position as well. Don't forget about the big picture. Stater Brothers employees are going to prison. Ovid Family Community Library are those employees are all going to federal prison. The entity that's gang stalking in the parking garage, I've been documenting them for a prolonged period of time. They're going to federal prison. Engaging in surveillance at the Tesla chargers, they're going to prison. All right, the entity, the Ontario Police Department, the gang stalkers of the venues that reside, the gang stalking law school, institutions like that are going to be shut down, defunded. It's not a legitimate law school. You're not going to be an officer of the court. You're not going to engage in what is the instruction of an alleged officer of the court when you are a terrorist. It's absurd. Okay, that's what the University of Laverne College of Law, and it's no question where they had such issues maintaining an accredited status in the first place. They're too busy gang stalking. License 7MNS 733. They're demons. They're incompetent. Okay, and they seek to try to make those that they're monitoring, that they're obsessed with, whose giftedness they want to sit around and stalk and stare at and salivate over, not only in the spirit but in the physical, and then try to falsely depict that person that they're obsessed with, that they are inferior to, as being incompetent. That's just merely insult to injury, and you're going to compensate for that as well. This is the P.O.C. This is an entity flying over a bunch of senior citizens that are losing housing benefits. Not only is the company itself not going to be participating in HUD housing, but those that are recipients of HUD housing, they are going to be prosecuted under federal law. Okay, I went through in depth regarding this analysis violating federal law. I believe it's 34 U.S.C. But nonetheless, there as a federal group stalking and monitoring, gang stalking is a violation of existing federal law, where you are not to be engaging in what is not only stalking a woman while you're a housing recipient, but while you're living on the property, which is what the entity is doing. They're also violating privacy laws while they're engaging in surveillance. The property management company, the entity that's gang stalking, all manner of violation of property, including their own, which they have waived, but that's still a violation of the law. But they're also engaging in that against one like myself, who doesn't have to live at the property in order for that law to be effective. And that's exactly the type of advocacy that I'm going to speak to, because that you're getting to the purpose of that law, so that no government recipient is engaged in stalking another. You're not going to receive housing benefits while you're stalking and terrorizing someone else. Okay, that's the absurdity of what these welfare recipients are engaging in, and they're getting ready to be homeless. All right, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:30 a.m. It's July 2nd, 2026.
Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes, and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C., and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state. And it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
Alrighty, this is engaging in surveillance. This is psychotic. More often than not, they can't even speak English and they're engaging in terrorism with the government. All right, but this is a demon. and she's engaging in surveillance, license 8WDS880, with the U.S. military that's engaging in serial flight over the venue. And this is an entity that's doing so while they're parking. CEASELESS Regis Group is being federally prosecuted. CEASELLESS Regis Group represents the people of the state. Crossing a path is what this is. License 9JXT171, and she is stalking as an entity. License plate CJB8060. CEASELLESS Regis Group is downtown Ontario luxury apartments, and they're being federally prosecuted for surveillance. They're stalking by maintaining surveillance inside of the Tesla chargers, where you just listen to the entity that's stalking by planes. Regarding targeting, they're all engaging in monitoring as well in furtherance of murder, and they're doing so on the grounds of an apartment complex that is engaged in the pattern of conduct. Every resident, every employee, and the population that just comes onto the ground to engage in it, and you will be federally responsible under the law. All right, you have immigrants that are engaged in the pattern of conduct, and if this is an immigrant, that's exactly what's being deported out of this country. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:33 a.m. Downtown Ontario luxury apartments, Wells Fargo, the 280 North Limit Apartments, the Ontario Town Square townhomes, the people of the state on the roads and the highways, the entity that is gang stalking, and then this entire crime scene and a population of stalkers like this monitoring in the path are following me as I go from place to place. These are the demons engaging in massive surveillance, and they are the reason for what shall be martial law, mass deportation, and also you're talking about the loss of custody of children that are brought up in the system to engage in the same conduct, which is also a threat to national security. This has to be cut off and ceased, and them witnessing their parents going to prison and being committed is going to help in that training and cutting off this training, this brainwashing, this indoctrination with regard to terrorism that the government and their families, their elders, those that are in custody of them, have taught them to engage in. This is the P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 6:34 a.m. That's a psychopath, okay, and that's an Asian woman stalking me. Whether or not she speaks English, but it's even more fascinating when they don't even speak English, but those monitoring spirits know exactly who I am, and they're acting in sync with the government that's testifying against her. And she will be federally prosecuted as a terrorist. This is P.O.C. It's 6:34 a.m. 34824 Uncle 1, stalking at the James Bryant Park. That's a Latino male. And so is third party license 9WXA162. This is the John Bryant Park. This is the City of Ontario venue where the entity is flying over, and I also have video of the entity stalking UPS plane. If I recollect correctly, that's the military hovering over this park, fake sun in the evening, where the City of Ontario is gang stalking. The entity is right now at what is 7:04 a.m., where that demon was engaged in surveillance, crossing a path, stalking inconspicuously, just hiding in the vehicle, okay? Making it appear as though, oh yeah, I'm free to sit, and otherwise there's no law that says you can't sit in your car on the sidewalk, right? I mean, outside of the park being closed, those things. This is how the entity is engaging with its public corruption. That is absolutely unlawful when you're engaged in the pattern of conduct, and this is where the entity that is gang stalking is sorely mistaken. But the entity is engaged in nonetheless monitoring me as though they're going to now copy off of my prosecution. They're not getting anything. They're not getting any information other than the facts that I gather and document in order to prosecute them. And that's what they're still monitoring, and they're doing so while they're engaged in conspicuous surveillance. That third party was already stalking in the path. The moment that the entity flies over by plane, where there are no takeoffs from the airport here, the military is clearly stalking, City of Ontario clearly stalking over a venue attributed to the City of Ontario as well. This is also the City of Ontario stalking while I'm being gang stalked at the city park. And that third party is crossing path. Starts their ignition as the plane flies over. The plane flies over as I turn this phone on, monitoring my devices, and the entity is monitoring me in doing so. Everybody on this street is stalking. License 8V Henry Apple 246 is stalking me in particular. Everybody in their homes knows where I'm at. The entity is engaging in what is surveillance, okay? The City of Ontario is full of demons. Now, the point of what the entity is doing now, and these are the dead. These are demons. All they do, they're creatures. All they do is stalk and monitor. They don't have any intellect behind what they're doing. But actually what's going on is they're not getting anything else from me. They're not stealing anything else from me. Those that you see that are creating movies and social media platforms and becoming influencers and whatnot, it's not their personality. It's not their idea. It's not even their disposition in life, what they present to you when they're being interviewed, when they're speaking. Those are demons that are monitoring people like me. This is the Nephilim that don't have a means of normally communicating and being. They sit around stalking and monitoring every thought, all right? And then they adapt that as their own. And they have a bunch of demons that engage in that. This is a network of demons that are engaging in criminal surveillance as you're prosecuting demonic activity, a network of communication devices, a system of surveillance, and it is speaking to all manner of money, time, and resources to do so. And this is what Satan thought was going to work to overwhelm the will of God, and you're going, no, you're not doing any of that. You're going to be committed. All the entity is doing in monitoring me now is conducting themselves as though all you're doing is monitoring evidence that I am gathering to prosecute you. You're not stealing any ideas. Everything that you're getting and monitoring is pursuant to you being prosecuted. Charlie Thomas Henry 4076 Washington. That's all they're doing. Okay, you're not getting any more ideas about how to dress and fashion and a way to sing a song or song creation or all the things that the entity has stolen, demons have stolen, and then made a whole product, service, company, enterprise behind it. The entity, a whole bunch of monitoring spirits. And what they're monitoring now is a federal prosecution. Like you're going to copy a prosecution. You're going to copy the federal laws that I'm going to create to surround you. That's all they're doing, because that's where they're headed. That's all that's happening. All right, and it's a trap. And this is a trap set by Christ Jesus, and it's a prosecution for the entity that's engaged in this. This is John Wayne Bryant Park. It is City of Ontario that is engaged in surveillance, and so are the people of the state. License 9WXA162, 8TON219, and the people of the state are stalking. As I'm walking through Ontario and Upland, the entity that are the people of the state, every single person at every single location are engaging in what is stalking me, stalking with regard to monitoring me. And all they're doing, this is the bigger point, but I'm still going to prosecute, but the bigger point is Christ is laughing at the enemy because all they're doing now is monitoring their own prosecution. That's the ideas you're listening to, the ways in which I'm going to prosecute you, the ways in which I'm going to have you committed, the laws that are going to be created to make sure that you're put in an institution, that you can't do this to other people, that those around the globe are going to benefit from what's happening in the U.S., which is prosecuting and exposing domestic terrorism. That's all that they're monitoring, their own demise and exposure. The Nephilim are not going to be out here being creatures trying to act like they're humans, moreover advanced or creative or gifted humans, because that's what they're doing, monitoring people like myself. And they're not. They're going to be the dogs that they are, the gargoyles that they are. All right, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:08 a.m. That's the entity hovering over the park and doing a U-turn over the park. This is an entity that is obsessed with me, and so now as their demise is being exposed while I'm prosecuting, and they're not capable of copying off of a prosecution, you're all going to know who they're copying off of and who are you going to prosecute. These are idiots, these are gargoyles, these are creatures that are not designed to withstand what has been brought up against them with regard to the wicked conduct that's being brought to an end via a prosecution that discerns demons and exposes them to the world. But this is at James R. Bryant Park, and the entity just engaged in hovering and doing a U-turn, just like they are over the Stater Brothers parking lot, just like they are in Upland, California, off of Euclid Avenue, where I'm walking on Euclid Avenue, just like they are over the Senior Center, the City Hall of Ontario, over the Ovid Family Community Library, over the downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, over the parking lot of Arco, over the St. George Catholic Church, stalking in other words. And the airport is being shut down for this. This is the P.O.C. This is indeed, I wanted to show that this is the City of Ontario. This is going on a playlist. The City of Ontario is being defunded. They're going to compensate me, and I'm prosecuting the city for criminal activity, surveillance, and furtherance of murdering me. And that is removing and prosecuting Paul Leon and the City Council. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:11 a.m. License plate, 8 Larry Robert Charlie, 596. Mentally ill, stalking with impunity as well. This is Flora and San Antonio Avenue, where no planes are creating that's still no takeoff. That's the entity that is indeed mentally ill and stalking as an entity. Their mental illness is built into their prosecution, in other words, okay? That's the P.O.C. The entities engaged in the City of Ontario, the government is engaged in what is wasting a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars on monitoring people like myself, every thought, all right? They want to capture every thought. This is why they're stalking in the bathroom. They want to capture every thought. You're being monitored. Your thoughts are being monitored, your emotions, your reactions to things, and this is because they're creatures that are obsessed with you, and they literally are monitoring you in order to adapt their own personality while they keep you in something akin to like a psychological cage monitoring you, Okay, this is an entity that's engaged in that, and this entity is being prosecuted for it, and they're also mentally ill. Now they're exposed as nothing other than a copycat society, and so now you give more evidence that you're a stalker. Those are the psychopaths that are going to be committed. They are not the military. Okay, it's the military. They're identified as the military. They're in the military, but this is not the actual military, and I am prosecuting that. The demons that are, the terrorists that are, the sex offenders, the Nephilim that are making up the military right now, they're being removed. They're being put in cages where they belong. They belong in cages. And it's prophetic that I'm capturing this right now because this is where they're going. They're going to be in cages. They're going to be in mental institutions. This is the P.O.C. The entity is stalking, and this is a judicially noticed fact. There's no takeoffs from the airport. There is no plane activity that's going to sound. And there is also the evidence of the fake sun here. There's no sunrise, no natural environment that would include the sunset here at James R. Bryant Park. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:12 a.m. Alrighty, and I also documented 9 o'clock in the morning. This is the street I was on, Flora, the fake sun during the 9 a.m. hour, and being at the park, I believe it was UPS, and it was after 6 p.m., UPS stalking me at this park. This is already on the record. This is the city of Ontario. It's going toward the organized analysis to prosecute the entity. James Bryant Park is city of Ontario. That is gang stalking me. P.O.C. State engage in gang stalking at a distance as though there's some sort of protective barrier because you're across the street, or because even you're in the sky space, right? Or you're some distance away from them. Everybody is gang stalking, and that's why I got the license plate, I got the house numbers, which is indicative of the location, everyone on that street, which is pursuant to the whole city. But this is the entity that's gang stalking, doing so with the city of Ontario. You'll see the images. Paul Leon is stalking through the gang stalkers who are using dumpster trucks to engage in stalking with light in the path, and this is a demon. 8 Thomas Zebra Nancy 240 75467 Uncle 3 is the means of identifying gang stalkers as well. While the entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct, they're gang stalking using this vehicle. They're demons sitting in the driver and passenger seats. Operation of their communication devices, gang stalking, and they're doing so at 652. All right, San Antonio, and I'll get the cross street right here. That's the street address. The venue is stalking. The demons are stalking. The neighbors are stalking. 651, that's the address here. They're monitoring. 7 Mary Xavier Thomas 861, that's the license plate. They're monitoring at 645. That's the house address. They're monitoring. 644, that's the housing address. West Berkeley Court, that's the address. 644 West Berkeley Court, 645 West Berkeley Court, 651 West Berkeley Court, 652 West Berkeley Court. License plate, Uncle Wendy 021. That's a handicap plate. They're monitoring with the government. This is state action. All right, and they're doing so while I'm walking down the street, stalking in the path with light, while the demons of the city of Ontario are at the back of the street with light activity. These are demons. This is terrorism. This is the P.O.C. And they're going to be committed and put in prison while I document the body of evidence while population practices the same conduct. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that is at Beverly Court in San Antonio. Alrighty, that's the entity that's telling on itself when you're looking at that P.O.C. And this is where the military is flying over their homes, where there's also no terminals, no takeoffs, where they're flying over the housing community. And that's the entity, the gang stalkers themselves acting with the government. You're going to prison for levying war in the U.S. This is the P.O.C. You're going to be put in mental institutions for stalking with light and stalking with audible activity and stalking with the government that engages in that with planes and helicopters. You're going to be committed. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:27 a.m. at Berkeley Court in San Antonio, where they're stalking, P.O.C. This is the city of Ontario that's stalking on the same side of the street that I'm on while they listen to me document them and speak to the fact that they're typically stalking at the opposite side of the street. So this is someone that wants to go to prison, stalking at Curtis, the school. He's gang stalking. Upon monitoring the evidence, this is P.O.C. Paul Leon's being federally prosecuted, and this is a psychopath that's gang stalking in a dumpster truck with the people of the state. License plate ANT L44, that's Florida. This is pacing 6FCZ 287. This is terrorism by the city of Ontario. Literally, I'm documenting this demon at this school. I document them stalking at the end of the street, just like I documented at the other block at Berkeley. And as I document them, this is supposed to be, oh, I'm not scared. I'm going to come on the same side of the street, and I'm going to document you. This is the city of Ontario that's stalking with the military at the school where I've already shown the fake sun and the demons that are on the opposite side stalking with light activity. This is P.O.C. All right, he's not in emptying any garbage. All right, this is the entity, and they stop anywhere to engage in that. This is the entity engaging at Hawthorne. That's also gang stalking. This is P.O.C. and this is mental illness. You're going to be committed. That's the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, while the City of Ontario is stalking, it is 7:42 a.m. P.O.C. Yes, go ahead, speak. What else? Anything else? You see the look on the face? He's going to be committed. This is light activity, relevant positioning, stalking in a dumpster truck. P.O.C. Engaging in stalking at the same street with that dumpster truck at the opposite, just like the cowardice that I documented there. Engaging in the foolishness, and then I'm embarrassing you and you're looking like a psycho, like you're perplexed. Gang stalking is already established. The City of Ontario gang stalking is fully established. The military stalking me with these demons, already established. You look at the facial expression, you listen to what you're stating, you're already convicted. You're being committed. 8 Sam Henry Robert 823. Facilitation, stalking with light activity. In concert with license plate 9 Robert Thomas Xavier 449. Jerry 79 5 Mary 1. 9 Paul Appleberry. Looks like 42. I can't really see the rest of that one. It was a Tesla. License 6 Zebra Victor Frank 909. And this is at third party facilitating venue 807 North San Antonio Avenue, where the people of the state are gang stalking on the roads and the highways as pedestrians. I'm in the city of Upland. This is the military that's stalking as an entity. All right, this is the surveillance system, which, again, a bunch of dead people, demons, make up a society of stalkers. So they are operating vehicles and stalking as constituents of the state. 8 Nancy Edward Mary 214, P.O.C. License 9 Jerry Kelly Frank 471, P.O.C. License 8 Zebra Nancy Larry 668. 8 Charlie Uncle Yolanda 300. 8 Thomas Wendy Sam 091. Stalking on a scooter. Any means of crossing path. License 5 Paul Uncle Apple 716. And this is where the City of Ontario is stalking me in a dumpster truck and looking perplexed. Like the demons typically do. They always do when I document them. Stalking. And they are, again, as though their perplexed facial expression is going to supersede the evidence. That's how delusional they are. 9 Wendy Robert Bob 545. Old white woman stalking me. License plate. She's a demon. That's why. 6 George Xavier Kelly 713. Stalking. License 9 Larry Kelly Robert. 9 Larry Robert Kelly, excuse me. 090. Has the right. Stalking. License plate 62083 Frank 3. Nothing funny about the initials RK. License plate GOSSFAM. Well, that fam is a bunch of demons. They're stalking. License 8 Victor Uncle Yolanda 203. These are a bunch of demons that are obsessed. All right, and as family units, they are stalking. Doing so, I already documented the entity stalking at this same intersection. This is the intersection, by the way. License 8 Nancy Apple Zebra 096. This is the intersection, by the way, where the fake sun is over me in the morning. So covering it up right now is relevant to a body of evidence speaking to a pattern of conduct in a supernatural environment. They're still stalking with light. They're creating activity. And engineer light is also present in the color gray. So engineer light is always present. 5 DID 235. They're stalking with the entity that's maintaining light activity. I'm going to prosecute. All right, license plate 387 North San Antonio Avenue is stalking. Student Transportation of America is stalking. Another license plate includes 9 Wendy Mary Edwards 749. Student Transportation of America is a heavily documented terrorist, sex offender, stalking with impossible light, stalking with children aboard the buses. Those children are demons as well. 9 Kelly George Edward 983. 9 Jerry Sam 070. And they are gang stalking at facilitating video 375 North San Antonio Avenue. The people of the state. License 8 Robert Yolanda Xavier 651. License 7 Apple 0 Wendy 231. 2 old white people. They're demons. They're monitoring. Okay, race is irrelevant. License 9 Nancy Yolanda Sam 775. 7 Sam Kelly Thomas 404. All right, and this entity that is gang stalking is doing so every house, every address. I'm documenting where the entity is engaging in the elements of monitoring overtly, conspicuously in my face. If you're going to stalk me in my face, I'm going to prosecute you and identify you, make an example out of you. But the entire city is stalking. Okay? This is the P.O.C. And at facilitating venue, this is 357
North San Antonio Avenue, stalking with light in the path facilitation. With all these license plates that I'm documenting, it's a basis of federal prison. 7 Bob Thomas Victor 306, stalking in the path with light activity. This is what the entity, the City of Ontario, is doing with dumpster trucks, stalking in the path with light activity. License 7 Thomas Henry Yolanda 495, doing so in front of the facilitated venue where demons are stalking on the sidewalk. They're stalking in the path, okay? Engaging in that P.O.C. All right, criminal facilitation is a basis for prison. That's why the employees at the libraries are going to prison. Demons that are in the medical field will not be in the medical field, okay? You're talking about wearing scrubs and so you can get away with killing people that you're monitoring, killing old people and claiming that they left you money in their will, engaging in what is harming people that cannot speak to the fact or know what is the source of the harm. This is a society of demons that are engaging in that, and they are in the medical field. Again, license 7BIV 306, just referring to that because this demon that goes toward what is the venue I documented, 375 North San Antonio, is engaged in criminal facilitation. And this old white woman, that's a basis of federal prison. That's what the Asian male was doing, as I documented a couple weeks ago, sitting with his hazard lights on while the entity, one demon after another. That's what the City of Ontario is doing with the dumpster truck, and then getting out looking like, oh, what's wrong? What happened? What's wrong? All of that is evidence regarding being committed. That's how the entity's pattern of conduct is going to be used. They're already convicted. Okay, I'm documenting you, you're being prosecuted, and I'm just making an example out of you. The entire city is being prosecuted. You give me evidence like that, you're going to be committed. It's going toward what is a diagnosis regarding what is involuntary commitments. This is the P.O.C. at 345 North San Antonio Avenue. The pattern of conduct is underway. It is currently 7:58 a.m. in the city of Upland. Police are stalking with the people of the state, license 9 Uncle Wendy Henry 734 at 190 8th Street in Upland, California. They are stalking on the roads and the highways, and I already have video evidence of the Upland police stalking, specifically engaging in criminal summoning. Actually, also at not just at the Arco, but also at the both corners of this same street, and they are stalking. This is a population that's engaged in surveillance. They're stalking where they live, they're stalking on the roads and the highways, and then the demons of the Upland police engage in the same kind of doing so right now. I want to document the people of the state stalking with the Upland police who are being disbanded. And this is the same, and this is going to be subject to martial law. There will be no police officers on the roads and the highways. They're all losing driving privileges. They're subject to martial law. They will be prosecuted, treated identically. You're an immigrant, you're being deported. You are in custody of children, those children for their protection and the protection of everybody else being separated from you. You're being prosecuted as a terrorist. You're not getting any pay, 401k, retirement. You're being prosecuted as a terrorist. There is no immunity for a terrorist. Okay, and that's already proven by what the Upland police are engaging in. They're doing it with the people of the state at 190 8th Street at 8:12 a.m. This is P.O.C. Unified School District is stalking. Parked on the side with their foot on the brake. This is stalking with light. You can hear the weed whacker behind me. These are the elements of monitoring. And I'm under surveillance at a school district, right? Speaking to demons that are engaging in criminal surveillance, not actual interest and investment in education. And while you're doing both, you are engaging in surveillance, okay? You are gang stalking and furtherance of murder. You're not engaged in an actual legitimate education provision and services and literacy and investment in minor kids. This is stalking. All right, and this is in the path. I'm documenting Argo optometry, the same conduct every corner. This is the same venue where the entity's stalking by helicopter. There's no mystery here. And all right, this is again another white woman stalking me. These are lesbians, homosexuals as well. These are actually gargoyles. They're creatures. They're demons. Stalking at the school district, which speaks to what fills that building of demons that are gang stalking. Across the venue where the Upland Public Library has the fake sun from morning until evening when I walk out at 7 p.m. All right, that's the P.O.C. They are telling on themselves and speaking to their own character, revealing their own engagement in the pattern of conduct while they gang stalk me at all the places that they can. You cannot secretly, covertly gang stalk somebody that knows that it's underway. You can't gang stalk anyone because the federal government knows exactly what's going on. Okay, this is the P.O.C. and it's terrorism. Well, I'm subject to surveillance at Upland Unified School District. One that's going to be defunded because the Nephilim are not interested. They're not even engaged in the genuine interest in making sure that their demonic children can read. That's why they're out here gang stalking me in the library, by the way.
And since you don't need an education system, since I'm being gang stalked by the demons that are driving the school buses, by the demons that are teaching in the classrooms, by the demons that are underage gang stalking, there will be none of those institutions. None of that is going on regarding martial law. The demons are going to be on lockdown, which is a matter of what is national security protecting you. All right, license plate 60240 David 4, okay? The blackened flag is speaking to that hatred that the demons have always concealed, okay? That's what's relevant regarding crossing path. Knowing that you're being documented, this is a statement of war against the U.S. That's why they're gang stalking. Understand that. So they have the freedom of speech to engage in communicating to you that they hate this country and that they hate you. They're monitoring you, okay? Like they're monitoring me. And these are all demons that aren't copying any sort of prosecution. All right, this was the perfect trap for you to see who Satan is and what Satan is doing. All right, and Satan makes up a whole corrupt government system. And that's what's behind carrying a blackened flag. All right, and that is speaking to the demise of the United States. All right, Loomis crossing path, letting you know that they're gang stalking just like Brinks. And that's fine. They're paying me. License 01981 Henry 4. They're going out of business and they're going to be compensating me. So that's the P.O.C. And they're going into the Upland Unified School District. These are demons that are obsessed with me, and their obsession is causing what is literally their demise as corporations. While they cannot, there's no coincidences in this specific environment. So while I'm subject to surveillance and I'm exposing that, the entity that's engaging in surveillance is speaking to what is real-time knowledge, and those very actors that I document, that I refer to, they are engaging in the pattern of conduct. Oak Park gang stalking at the Arco gas station, Brinks gang stalking at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, the entity gang stalking the Ontario police, all leaving their vehicles abandoned with the ignitions running. Well, I refer to the fact that they're engaging in the pattern of conduct. They're stalkers. This is the entity that's obsessed with me. And while they're obsessed in stalking, it is speaking to what is a prosecution. You're not copying off of a prosecution. You are submitting to that prosecution. Okay? This is the P.O.C. 6 Frank 66210. All right? And that's the trap laid out for the enemy. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 8:40 a.m. This is a stalker. This is elite. These are peasants going by a company name that's engaged in the pattern of conduct with the city of Upland. Doing so with the Upland Police. That's who's crossing path right there. These peasants with elite are gang stalking with the Upland Police. You see that vehicle right there? They're monitoring. And they're doing so with the city of Upland, Marcelo Blanco, who's going to be federally prosecuted for terrorism. Doing so with the demons that are stalking me by helicopter when I'm walking outside from this library, sitting engaging in conspicuous surveillance. Doing so with the entity that's coming out of its way, by the way. 7-Eleven employees. Anthony is employed here, but Anthony's gang stalking me with the city of Upland, the military stalking by helicopter. Anthony works at the library. He's going to prison. He's here gang stalking with the 7-Eleven employee that came here. That's important I am. That's why the demons are gang stalking with regard to amplified leaf blowing, where the entity is also stalking me by amplified helicopter activity, where the entity is also keeping a fake sun over me all day long. And elite gang stalkers are engaged in the pattern of conduct, monitoring my device, and these are a bunch of peasants that are engaged in vagina monitoring while they hold leaf blowers. They will be deported. There are a bunch of non-English speaking gang stalkers that are using landscaping as a means of surveillance with the Upland Police who just crossed path. These are demons that will be subject to federal prison. And I just want to be clear, context that 7-Eleven employees came in here gang stalking me, doing so pursuant to that's accumulated against them. The Upland Public Library employees are monitoring me in concert with the rest of the demons that I document as I walk up Euclid Avenue into the city of Upland that's engaging in the unintelligent pattern of conduct. And that is not my problem. That is your problem while gang stalking somebody that was here to prosecute you in the first place. You're not going to copy off of a prosecution. You are subject to it. Right. So this is an employee. He has long hair, long wavy hair, very skinny. I hear him admitting while he's talking to who's going to prison. He's engaging in referring to his wife, so apparently he's married. Nonetheless, he's engaged in poisoning. 7-Eleven is poisoning. Your 7-Eleven employees that come to the library are gang stalking me. They're doing so at the venue up in Public Library that has a fake sun all day and all night. All day until the end of the day open hours, business hours, and the entity covering up the fake sun and showing it when it starts shining. It's shining right over me wherever I'm seated at, and all these demons are sitting here stalking. Okay, that all they're doing is engaging in surveillance. He's the one that you see gang stalking on the sidewalk in the evening, and this is the audacity of the entity that stalks you in your face. This is a threat by the city of Upland. That's why all the employees are going to prison. And who is present? Anthony is present, gang stalking me by helicopter, and working, coming right to work. That's the entity that's engaging in that threat while they're monitoring in those malicious manners, such as a peasant going through by the name calling this gang stalking corporation full of peasants that are gang stalking immigrants, calling themselves elite. I'm going to prosecute this company. This is another one that's not going to survive a prosecution in the first place. This is the P.O.C. This is what the entity was doing all night. Bill Velto is being federally prosecuted, and as Bill Velto is recalled, literally while they're monitoring me, the stalker that is COLLIN SHEEHY is engaged in the P.O.C. while criminal summoning is then committed. The stalkers of the San Bernardino County Fire Department are being shut down and prosecuted. And so are the Upland Police Department, while they are monitoring with the military that we're engaged in what is the maintenance of psychopathic pacing, audible activity creation, while demons are monitoring and stalking and obsessively doing so. Obsessively. Okay? Remember, there's no sun over the Upland Public Library yesterday while it remained over me in Ontario. These are demons that are engaging in surveillance, stalking. Okay? This is the P.O.C. He's going to prison. He's going to prison. Alan's going to prison. Anthony's upstairs. All the employees. Sheena's upstairs. She works here. She's going to prison. And so is Anthony. Anthony's the one that's at 7-Eleven. And so this is how 7-Eleven is engaging in that conduct together as well. 7-Eleven employee comes to Upland Public Library. Upland Public Library employee at the 7-Eleven gang stalking me with the military together. They're going to prison. That's what they all have in common. They're all obsessed with my vagina, and they're all engaged in obsessively surrounding me, and they're all going to. So while they're stalking me, the one that they're stalking is dictating what's going to be in their future. And it's federal prison. This is the P.O.C. Elite is engaged in criminal facilitation. All right, while a bunch of stalkers are maintaining presence. That's Joy's office. Joy is the psychopath that paces around me. She's stalking in the path, studying a device, monitoring. This is up in public library, and Bill Velto is being he's being removed from office while they are funding gang stalkers to come and engage in landscaping in Upland, California to keep me under surveillance. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:23 a.m. All right, it is 1:25 p.m., 1:26 p.m. now. I am documenting the state of the restroom where the entity is keeping me under surveillance, number one. But what you're getting acquainted with is the image. You seeing a toilet, you seeing the inside of a restroom. This is the quintessence of what should be a private space where you maintain a reasonable expectation of privacy. And Adam Tuckerman, Carissa, Allen, for example, the employees of 7-Eleven gang stalking me as an entity and also coming to the Upland Public Library like they did this morning. The gang stalkers that are under the age of majority, the demons that bring their children to come participate in the sex offense of gang stalking, the military that are stalking me in planes and helicopters to and from Upland and the Upland Public Library, the entity that is engaging in what is stalking through on the roads and the highways throughout the city are all monitoring my vagina while a female is present in the path. This is the entity that is always blocking. I walk anywhere, I go anywhere, the entity is always maintaining presence. Doing so as a population is how they are engaging what is pacing. They're always making sure that they are blocking your path. They are doing so in the engineer light monitoring. And so as I enter inside of the restroom, this is where the entity is engaged in stalking me. And that stalking is also proven scientifically with regard to the fake sun, the engineered environment, where the military is also providing evidence against sex offenders who are in the bathroom, maintaining criminal surveillance in concert with that government that is stalking me 24 hours a day, including where I sleep. Okay? The entity is engaging in this with the employees who are all going to prison. And thus far, Elizabeth is here monitoring my vagina. She's a lesbian. That's homosexual predatory behavior, keeping my vagina under surveillance. And this is the government's system pursuant to what are demons that are making money off of monitoring me. They are, again, not independent, private citizens that are making movies, that are celebrities, that are dropping albums and making themselves influencers on the internet. This is a government system, and those are third parties. They are profiting from, and they are monitoring in concert with, they are getting the same information pertaining to my vagina while they are celebrities and politicians, etc. And they are far away from Upland, California. The government's engaged in monitoring my vagina. The government is doing so through sex offenders over and under majority coming into the Upland Public Library, and the employees of the Upland Public Library are going to prison prison for it. And it does include not only those that are here today, but every single last one that's employed. Anthony is here. Anthony engaged in stalking me at 7-Eleven by helicopter and has the audacity to threaten and terrorize every time you are witnessing that terrorist that engaged in that act of violence with the military. You're looking at that employee every day that's conducting himself like nothing happened. He's going to prison for that. He's gang stalking as an employee at the Upland Public Library, and he's monitoring my vagina. He's not just a terrorist, he's a demon, and he's a sex offender, keeping my vagina under surveillance while a sex offender, a homosexual, a lesbian, is coming into the bathroom in order to do so, to maintain surveillance of my genitalia in the bathroom stall. And this is where the entity is also psychopathic, coming inside of a bathroom, a room, to stalk someone and pacing all around them in doing so. And they're doing it while the fake sun is over the Upland Public Library. Remember, the fake sun is remaining over Ontario yesterday. The entities engaging in the pattern of conduct and the employees thus far includes Alan, Anthony, Carissa, Ashley, Elizabeth, like I stated, and Joy. Those are the employees that I am visibly witnessing. Also, there's an elderly woman. I don't know her name. I'm never having anything to do with her, but she's monitoring. All of the employees are. The employees are all going to federal prison. I don't care if you're 89 years old. You're going to be hunched over in a cell. You're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity engaged in vagina monitoring. I will capture the fake sun upon my exit. Already captured it today. It remains over the venue. These demons are engaged in an ongoing perpetual ritual. All they're doing is pacing all around and pacing all around, literally down to the place where you see them standing. It's pertaining to what I am doing, where they're standing as though they're consumed in conversation. That conversation is serving what is supposed to be the outward appearance of being, again, delusional. There's nothing that matters about your appearance while you're gang stalking. This is shutting down the whole farcical notion that the defendant is going to control the case against it. That's the government that's engaged in corruption. All of that is ridiculous. The entity is stalking. They're stalking in a library, and they're stalking with regard to my every move, not just stalking me at the library. Remember the address. They're stalking as I move from place to place inside of the building. These are demons, and they're sex offenders that keep my vagina under surveillance, and that's what you need to know about the Nephilim. They're not humans, and they're obsessed with your genitalia. You should stop having sex with them. They want you to fornicate and engage in adultery with them. They want you to be in that sin with them. And they are engaging in what are controlling you. This is Satan having the ability to exercise power and authority over you when you are in sin. They're sex offenders, and they're engaged in all manner of sickness while you partake in sexual activity with them. Okay, this is the P.O.C. This is vagina monitoring. The perpetual sex offense is what is referred to under the law, but I'm referring to it in those graphic terms because that's what these sex offenders are doing, and that's exactly how they're going to be referred to, and they're going to prison behind monitoring my vagina. This is the P.O.C. It's 1:31 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is a sex offender. This is the engineer light that's outside while they're pacing, monitoring with the sex offender that enters in with children, one demon after another after another. It's also the vehicles on the street outside on D Street. This is psychopathic pacing. This is the P.O.C. under the fake sun. This is with minor children. Remember, the fake sun's in the same location after 4 p.m. This is monitoring, and these are demons that are under the age of majority. Adam Tuckerman's going to prison for this. She enters into the bathroom to engage in monitoring me.
This is a basis of prison. This level of impunity, you go to prison for that, and you're losing custody of your children, and you're also being deported if you're not a natural-born citizen. These are sex offenders and psychopaths that do so while not addressing you, not looking. But what are you going to say? And anything that you do say, you're going to prison for that. But I've documented plenty of them becoming hostile while they're documented as vagina monitors. This is not sunlight. It's absurd. And it's also here in the same window after 4 p.m. This is the after 5 p.m. I'm documenting the fake sun that's remaining. You're much aware of that. The entity is stalking me inside of this venue by helicopter. The entity is maintaining presence at all corners of the library. The teenagers pace in and out of the Brody room. They're engaging with a surveillance. The fake sun's moving as I move. It's no longer over that window. But the engineer light remains inside, and it sweeps down this side. And as I show you, after 5 p.m., it's up on this side. So that's what the engineer light is doing while all they're doing is stalking. And they go into the bathroom stalking, okay? This is an entity of demons. In this together while they are monitoring genitalia together. This is what's going to be subject to martial law. This is what is removing Bill Velto from office, and he is engaged in kidnapping with the Upland Police Department. That's a basis for his being subject to federal prison. He literally participated in that kidnapping, by the way. While the entity was engaged in kidnapping, Bill Velto was outside talking to them, and this was this demon's way of monitoring me, and he was very celebratory while doing that. Just want to make sure, I want to include that bit of evidence, but this is the P.O.C. It's currently 1:36 p.m. where the fake sun remains here, and it's remaining while a whole bunch of demons are sharing in sexual violence, and those demons don't have an age. You're looking at what are people who are demon possessed, and they are over and under the age of majority, but you're talking about prosecuting demonic activity, and it shall be the ongoing contribution to the delinquency of minors who are sex offenders, gang stalking with the people of the state. They're losing custody, they're going to prison, and Adam Tuckerman's going to prison for this. Everybody employed with the library is going to prison. Adam Tuckerman is stalking me in the bathroom while the entity is inside, and that's how you're prosecuting a pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. It's 1:36 a.m. under the fake sun that's in Upland, California. That is not simultaneously in Ontario, California. It's not simultaneously in Fontana. It's not going to be aboard Omnitrans outside of the window. All the places where I've shown you the P.O.C., including in L.A., where I'm working and residing, and the entity is rising and setting a sun. And this is the entity that is obsessed with my vagina. Obsessed with everything about me, pursuant to what is massive surveillance. And this is the entity that's going to compensate for what is that pattern of conduct. But they're also going to compensate beyond money. These sex offenders are going to prison. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 1:37 p.m. This is what is so sad. She's stalking, she's blocking the path. These are demons that are going to be, they're not going to school. They're not learning anything, they're stalking. This is a P.O.C. Oh, sorry. I'll be done in a second.
Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter who you were. Doesn't matter who you are.
Alrighty, this is the entity bringing in minors to engage in pacing and activity creation. And you will see the 5:23 p.m. fake sun that's over the same building. You also have an adult that's entering in. They're all demons. So, but you have over 18 and under 18 stalking in the bathroom, and Mr. Adam Tuckerman in the engineer light inside of the reference desk area with Ashley and Alyssa. It's P.O.C. It's 5:24 p.m. You mind if I get another laptop, please? Hi, Mr. Tuckerman.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I have a question.
Yes.
Now, it's not a good time to ask because you actually have them here, but typically, I'm always asking for like disinfectant wipes, and I just want to know if there's a way to like have like or more sanitizer dispensers at least, just so that I can wipe off surfaces when because that one works, but I have to. They're all over the library, but only that one.
They're slowly dying on us. Yeah, I will.
The disinfectant wipes would be very helpful though, just to wipe off the laptops, and the desk.
I will spread the word that we, to make sure that we have at least one.
Oh, okay.
But the big dispensers are slowly, like I said, slowly.
Yeah, I guess the sensors or something. I hate to be a stickler, but you know, in this COVID era, and I just want to wipe off everything before I touch it. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Oh, actually, I need to wait. Do you mind if I get one? There. You should remind me. She's like, I thought you were going to ask me. Thank you, ma'am. Just there you go. Thank you. Alrighty, this is speaking to the totality of that entity, including Tuckerman, who is in Engineer Light under the fake sun. And that's activity creation. He's monitoring me and he's going to prison for it. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 5. Let me give you the correct time. It's currently 5:26 p.m. And I'll go ahead and get the state of the entity is stalking in the path. So as I'm walking through the library, a male is walking toward the restroom, a female's walking up the stairs. They're stalking. They're making sure they block my path. Engineer Light is on the floor and the impossible light activity. The fake sun remained in Ontario yesterday when I did not come to UPLAND. Recall that. Okay. This is the P.O.C. The fake sun is shining over my head right now. I'm going to go ahead and capture an image of that. Alrighty, that is captured in images at 5:26 p.m. This is the P.O.C. This is speaking to the entity that's engaging in terrorizing me inside of the library. If you recall, days ago, while the Caucasian male that I referred to as a white boy, he's walking by me, stalking me, and doing so as I'm leaving the reference desk where I just came from, where Adam Tuckerman is gang stalking me while he knows that he's being documented. Their knowledge and their criminal activity while they engage in that pattern of conduct with ongoing surveillance of the evidence is proven. The fake sun is speaking to, because of the nature of the crime. You're gang stalking, you're engaging in surveillance, and you know exactly what it is that I'm documenting about you. Because now you're not just monitoring to steal ideas from me and steal my identity. You're monitoring your prosecution. So Adam Tuckerman is targeting the one that he knows very well is documenting him, which is an ongoing, consciously made threat, which is relevant for federal prison. Adam Tuckerman is gang stalking me at the reference desk, and days ago, as I leave that same reference desk where he's monitoring me, stalking in the path and threatening me, and monitoring my vagina, he is doing so exhibiting psychopathic disorders, like nothing is happening, everything is fine. This is to criminally defame a targeted individual, by the way. Remember that the entity is engaging in what is walking by me as I'm leaving that reference desk days ago, and the quote-unquote white boy, as I referred to him, this is a Caucasian male, and he walks by the trash can, and then the entity amplifies helicopter activity. That simultaneity of conduct and presence is a method of psychological torture, harassing me based on what it is that I am also publishing on the internet. But that's textbook gang stalking. Okay, that's ordinary protocol regarding the entity that is harassing you and stalking you with the government. And they also feel like they're powerful because the military is stalking you by helicopter, and they feel like they have some sort of magical powers while you're subject to that, and they all act like nothing's happening. They're going to prison. They're going to be committed with that same pattern of conduct, that same evidence. So you're mindful of everything that Adam Tuckerman is engaged in and everything that's being documented. And also what is absurd, that the sun is over the Upland Public Library. I specifically reminded you about that yesterday while I remained in Ontario, and that fake sun remained over me in Ontario while I'm at the laundromat and ensured and impossible light activities inside of that laundromat. Well, that fake sun's aimed perfectly aligned over that laundromat entrance. That's during the 2 p.m., 3 p.m. I don't leave until after 4 p.m. I walk back to the Stater Brothers. I walk back toward that Starbucks. I walk back toward the library. That's where the fake sun followed me. Okay? And you have Adam Tuckerman and a bunch of gang stalking minors stalking me in the bathroom. And he is going to prison for it. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:29 p.m. This is a massive sex offense, which is also psychologically harmful, where an American citizen is subject to that inhumane violation of privacy, and also with impunity. Okay, because they're now doing it while someone not only knows about it, whereas it would be an ordinary target individual, their word against a whole population. That is the formula for involuntary commitments, the entity that harasses you, targets you, and then lies about your character. This is not what's happening here. Now you're looking at them do so with impunity, and that is federal prison, mandated federal prison, okay? This is the entity that's doing so, and it's not just everybody in the building that's monitoring my vagina and everything going on in the bathroom, keeping me under surveillance. It is everyone in the city. It's beyond the city as well. I've spoken to what this pattern of conduct entails. They're monitoring everything about you, including down to your genitalia, even your thoughts when you're looking in the mirror, your self-perception, how it is that you view yourself. Those are the type of the intimate thoughts that you have. That's what demons are monitoring, including intimate means of surveillance, monitoring literally your vagina, which is exceeding ordinary sexual violence, which is already egregious. These are sex offenders, these are demons, and it's psychologically harmful. And that's also why the entity is going to federal prison. All right, they're surrounding me to engage in stalking, and they're engaging in that with minor kids, with knowledge, every step that is documented, and that's what's the federal courts and federal law is cognizant of. They engage in the criminal activity with knowledge of everything that's documented, step by step by step, and the entity is already surrounded with evidence, especially when you take a good gander of the evidence of what they're doing in Los Angeles, and then I relocate to Ontario, and I go to Upland, and the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct. They're already surrounded with evidence, and Adam Tuckerman is going to prison. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:31 p.m. Alrighty, this is mental illness, all right? That's UPS. That's the picture of mental illness. This is the picture of mental illness. They're all stalking. The fake sun. This is the entity that's engaging this as I'm coming from Upland. The license plates I'm taking pictures of, the demon that's stalking at Ladini with their hazard lights on while that fake sun is over me. That fake sun is continuing the direction that I'm going, the same street where I am present, including at this address, 944 North Euclid Avenue in the morning. You're looking at the mentally ill that are going to be subject to martial law based on this evidence. The entity that's going to be involuntarily committed, including the demon that's operating that UPS plane, which is no secret. Who you are, the direction that you flew, when you got off, when you got in that plane and engaged in what is targeting, tracking my steps. It's not a mystery. They are being committed, and UPS is being federally prosecuted like the rest of the entity. And so are the people of the state. These are terrorists. While you see UPS stalking, you're looking at the people of the state stalking. That's light activity, not a turn signal. It's a demon. License 9BZU078, a stalker under the fake sun. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity exposing its mental illness to the public, and this is for your benefit. While I am prosecuting the mentally ill that were never equipped to copy a federal prosecution, to monitor the federal prosecutor, which is to mock the federal government that's going to respond to your levying war in the United States. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:35 p.m. Chevron is gang stalking. That's a light activity, while the military is stalking. All right, continuing in the direction south. That is, again, the terrorist UPS being federally prosecuted. This is the airline industry that's being federally prosecuted, while UPS is the current actor within the entity that is gang stalking. Third-party facilitating venue, downtown Ontario luxury apartments at 320 North Euclid Avenue. There are no planes coming from an airport headed to a destination with any passengers aboard that are doing a U-turn over that apartment complex that is filled with demons that are gang stalking, just like what I documented this morning. That Asian female who is likely a deportation candidate, because that's exactly what's going to happen to her and everyone in that same class of gang stalkers. This is the fake sun. Arco and Chevron are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and Thompson Harvey is targeting, and I will prosecute that corporate actor. They're systematically engaged in targeting with Chevron, and these are gang stalkers engaging in surveillance, knowing who I am, where I'm at, acting with the military is giving evidence against them. This is a serial stalker. This is federal prison. All right? Engaging in that surveillance system and further into murdering somebody is terrorism in the U.S. They're levying war. You're going to prison just like Osama bin Laden. Okay? This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that is, as I'm showing you, it's a very audacious system. All right? Very psychologically threatening, harmful, and also very threatening. The entity's engaging in conduct right in your face, and this is approaching that. And this is also speaking to how you and no person, no observer, no officer of the court, no supportive outsider
even though there is no such thing, but a supportive outsider would be somebody that's like on the opposite side of the world, that's not under any circumstances monitoring. Or any medical professional can tell you how to react when the entity is targeting you like that, including targeting you psychologically. 8 Nancy Edward Nancy 183 is an audacious stalker. That's federal prosecution. They're going to be prosecuted for terrorism, as terrorists for terrorism. License 9NSH248, I believe. Can't see that one, but this is every employee of Sarah's Regis Group at this apartment complex. They're all covered in engineer light. This is the same circumstance in the morning where the city of Ontario is gang stalking me. And while they are stalking on the roads and the highways, for example, in the city of Ontario, that is Paul Leon that is stalking me, while the vehicles that are financed by the city, paid for by the city, are molesting me with impossible light, which is exactly what occurred here during the 9 a.m. hour, where there's no sun that would be in alignment to me at this same hour, at this point in the day, and that's after remaining over me in Upland, California. All right, this is the P.O.C. That is the picture of mental illness. This person that is walking is stalking in the path they are targeting. Okay, this is understanding the facets of Satan. This is understanding a targeting system. This is understanding and shattering all illusions. Okay, this is the P.O.C. This is what the demon possessed are doing while you're looking at the back of their head. That demon-possessed person is looking directly at you. They're targeting you. They know exactly who you are and where you're at. It is that level of calculated surveillance which you are witnessing the truth of while the entity is stalking in the absurd manners, such as with planes and helicopters. This is Gang Stalker, Sarah's Regis Group, Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. It is currently 7:50 p.m. This is P.O.C. Engaging in sexual assault and battery with the African-American male serially stalking 9 p.m. M020. Very likely deportation candidates. Gang stalking at the facilitating venue of what you already know, where the UPS plane is flying over. They're stalking. And they're stalking in concert with the homeless. They don't have any classes amongst themselves. They're all demons stalking together. Okay, license 8BXM693. He's going to prison. Okay, you'll see him dancing while I'm being molested with engineer light. That's also activity creation of a mentally ill person that is engaging in what is the desperation of that pattern of conduct, while all you have to look forward to are 4 walls and literally a jacket. That's what he's going to go in. He's going in a jacket. While you're looking at the entity gang stalking, these are all demons stalking with light. And guess who's going to prison? Ovid Family Community Library employees. The demons that are gang stalking inside of the Sarah's Regis Group apartment complex. This is P.O.C. stalking with light. They're all engaged in sexual assault and battery together. P.O.C. 9JCB569. This is light and audible activity in the engineered environment. There's no train you can hear. Union Pacific is not a train that you're going to hear. These are demons and they're monitoring. This is mentally ill behavior of a society. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. That's what's stalking in helicopters flying in circles over and over again. That's what's stalking and dipping and cartwheeling in planes. That's that mental illness that you see. Okay, this is the P.O.C. Unfortunately, they procreate as well. That's what's going to be dealt with in that prosecution. Pattern of conduct. Here's my shadow back here. Here's my shadow here. You're not doing anything other than stalking. And so is the Ovid Family Community Library. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, that's the African-American male that is stalking in the morning. Doing so with the entity, and that's exactly what they're doing, stalking with the military. This is the female 6FOD517. These are the lesbians that go and monitor my vagina. Let me go past face. Stalking with light is mentally ill behavior. Okay, she's gang stalking. She's engaging in the pattern of conduct with the military. She's going to be committed. Stalking with light is mentally ill behavior. That's the P.O.C. Another one that's engaged in the same thing, stalking with light together. This is the P.O.C. These are demons that are mentally 45700. Pay attention. She drives off and another one comes. They're monitoring together. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct though. These are the creatures that are under. That's gross. That's the P.O.C. 6FOD517 is monitoring also with children. Alrighty, that's the entity that's engaged in that. And everybody inside of the library are full of demons, like you already know. Keeping a fake son at Ovid Family Community Library, but now when I go to Upland, they're all going to prison inside of this venue. This is the pattern of conduct while you see the mentally ill exhibited with their stalking with light behavior. Alright, this is the P.O.C. This is stalking in the path. Not coincidental. This is what is tracking your steps. This is what you know that they are engaging in while I have multiple shadows and during the day while I have what is a fake sun over me. These are the demons that are keeping my vagina under surveillance. They're going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. That's the pattern of conduct. P.O.C. Satan doesn't have a race and age. Satan doesn't even need to have somewhere to live because Satan is obsessed with me. And Satan is the state of California that is being defunded. and subject to martial law. That's how you're going to lock down a stalking society. And all those gang stalking celebrities, all those gang stalking demons that cloak themselves as celebrities that you should be paying attention to. All right, you're witnessing them being prosecuted while I am in Ontario, California, and they're all witnessing their exposure as well. They are equally demon possessed. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 8:35 p.m.